Welcome to a Q&A. The last time I did one of these, I looked at all the questions beforehand just so I could order them and then answer them that way. This time I'm going through them live, if you will, as in just reading them as I read them. So if only 3 people ask me where do you live 6 times, then this is going to be a very short video. Colin L asks, are there any NFL teams you hate? Yes, I hate the Giants. That's a joke. You know, Victor Cruz is in your picture. I don't hate any NFL teams. George Cush 911, as of week 14, who do you think the MVP will be? Who do I think the MVP will be? I'm actually not sure whatsoever. I'll put it this way. I would really like to see Matthew Stafford win it. That's the easiest way to put it. He doesn't have a very good offensive line. He doesn't have a great defense. He's had to come back from fourth quarter deficits every single week, and he's still first in his division. That's what I like to think about an MVP. MVP, most valuable player. You know, Tom Brady, sure, he's great. He's not the most valuable because he still has a decent run game. He still has a defense that's second in points allowed. Derek Carr has great receivers, a great offensive line. Ezekiel Elliott is running behind the best offensive line in the NFL. The only guy that truly stands out to me, more than the others who were doing very well, but doing well with help, Matthew Stafford. He's got good receivers, but he's pretty much doing all of this alone. iDubs asks, who do you think the most clutch team in the NFL is? And that pretty much just goes back to the first one again. I think the Lions are. You look at what they've done this season. Is it still true? Every single week they've been behind in the fourth quarter and they've won 9 games. Joe W asks, would you rather have the Giants or the Seahawks defense? Now, the Giants defense is very good at the moment, but the Seahawks still lead the NFL in points allowed, or rather least points allowed, and have done that for the last 5 years. Now, unless Earl Thomas really changes that, if we're talking about generally, definitely the Seahawks. Without Earl Thomas, I might take the Giants at this point in the season. Kevin Smith asks, will you ever expand your channel into playing more games? And I don't think so, not unless they're explicitly tied to exactly what I'm doing right now. Basically, I feel like most of my audience I've built up around the NFL more than Madden as well, so like just suddenly branching off into other games, I don't feel like I have the right to do that on this channel. If I ever did want to do that, I'd probably set up another channel just to do that on. Give me full freedom on there, rather than trying to force a bunch of people who just want to hear about the NFL into like watching me play Happy Wheels 16 hours in a row. Chargers Hackenberg asks, when will the Browns next have more than 2 wins? I'd say as soon as next season. And second part to his question, and will the Chargers get good again soon? The Chargers will be good as soon as all their players play 16 games or 15 games or 13 games. The Chargers have an incredibly talented roster. I like the offense when everybody's there. The defense is extremely good, and it's still good now, even though they've had a bunch of injuries. I think, you say next season, I said that at the beginning of this season, I thought, oh, maybe this season, and everybody gets injured again. If they play healthy, they're about as good as anybody else in the AFC West. Now, some people would massively disagree with me. It's just my opinion. Cubsy Scout asks, who's the best all-round back in the NFL? And now, I really want to say David Johnson. David Johnson has had, I think, 14 100-yard scrimmage games in a row now, every single game this season. The record is 17 by Marcus Allen, and he looks like he's not going to have any problems breaking that. So I want to say David Johnson because he does it so consistently, and you can give him the benefit of being younger. But Le'Veon Bell, if you disagree with me, just look at last week and consider the fact that David Johnson is close to breaking the consecutive record for most 100-yard games from scrimmage. 2 players hold the record for most 200-yard games from scrimmage, and that's Le'Veon Bell and Walter Payton. Wes asks, who's the better duo, AB and Le'Veon Bell or David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald? And now, I want to say the 2 second guys, but right now, if it was Larry Fitzgerald in his prime and David Johnson, I might take them because I'd take Larry Fitzgerald over, I'd still take him over most people now, but I feel like, Antonio, you take away who's giving them the ball, I'd say Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, any given week, I think they're better. David Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, clutch need to perform situation, they're better. DJ29 Hawkins asks, do you think the Saints should watch your fire sale franchise so they can hire you this season? I mean, it's a good idea, but I think the Rams should probably watch it. They've got a vacant spot, and my talents are here for hire. Although we would have to get rid of Les Snead. I'm going to have to be a Chip Kelly de facto general manager here. We can't trade everyone away without me being in charge of everything. M-State Gaming has 2 questions. I'll go for 1.5 answers. Number 1, who's your favourite player to watch in the NFL of all time? Barry Sanders. 2, could you show the fire sale franchise sliders? What I'll do instead is I'll put a link in the description to the guy who makes the sliders I use. I use the most difficult set. I don't remember the name right now. There'll be a link in the description. Sports Gods asks, what player deserves a 99 overall most this season? I'd have 3 players, and I think at least one of them will get a 99 this season. That's Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, and Zach Martin. A Demented Wall asks, what is your opinion of Roger Goodell? I think Roger Goodell is the coolest guy ever, and you should all follow him on Twitter. Okay, I don't know if Roger Goodell has a Twitter, but I'm sure it's inspirational stuff. Koi Spicer asks, what was your favorite Super Bowl? That one is easy. It's the Raiders Buccaneers. There were 3 touchdown return interceptions by linebackers. There was a blocked punt return touchdown. 6 total interceptions. That game was a riot. Al Levine asks, who are the top 10 most underrated players of all time? I don't really have a list, but Marquise Colston is probably like 1 or 2. It's Diego Boy asks, will you ever do NBA videos or will you watch it? My NBA relationship pretty much extends to watching game highlights and watching Colin Cowherd talk about the NBA. As for NBA videos, as a general thing, probably not, because I'd be stepping on toes that I don't deserve to step on because I don't know enough to do anything. However, in terms of maybe doing NBA 2K, I could potentially do a season thing of that. It would be a more light-hearted thing. It's not going to be anything serious because I just don't play the game enough to be able to do anything properly. Baker Wilcox asks, in your opinion, who deserves a ring more than anyone in the NFL and why? I'll try and think of a top 5 players I think deserve a ring list right now. Probably not a good idea. Number 1's easy, that's Adrian Peterson. Number 2's easy, except for it took me a slight while to think of Larry Fitzgerald. Adrian Peterson, actually, Larry Fitzgerald over Adrian Peterson. Forget Adrian Peterson. Get rid of that guy. Larry Fitzgerald deserves a ring more than anyone. I'm not even going to do a top 2 list. That is outstandingly the person I think deserves one more than anybody else, Larry Fitzgerald. Nika Joshua asks, are you okay with Bandwagon Friends? Yeah, I think, well, in moderation. I'm a big fan of a bandwagon. I'll jump on a bandwagon every now and then, why not? But I think if people start to overcompensate for the fact that they are bandwagon fans, they've not been fans of the team for ages, I don't think that you need to. I think if you just say, yeah, I'm a fan of that team, I hope they do well, there's not a problem with that. You don't need to be from a city or have liked them for a certain amount of time to want a team to do well. But if you try and, push yourself as the world's biggest fan now and everybody else who supports another team is an idiot, then you're the idiot. Joe Hardingham asks, who would you rather have as your starting quarterback, Geno Smith or Johnny Manziel? I'll go for the only guy that's actually going to turn up to play for me in Geno Smith. Jacob the Great asks, how do you feel about Lamar Jackson? Who do you think will be the first pick in the draft? I like Lamar Jackson. In terms of out of who were the finalists for the Heisman, I think Lamar Jackson should have won it. As for who should have won the Heisman, I'm still, Christian McCaffrey is underrated. I'm on that team. I don't actually have any major opinions on who I think will go in what order, but I do know I truly believe Jonathan Allen will go top 5. Bryson Wilson asks, what's your favorite NFL or NBA team? I don't really have a favorite NFL team. I do actually have a preferred NBA team. They're the Chicago Bulls, because I like how they can beat teams like the Cavs and the Spurs and then lose to teams like the Lakers, Timberwolves and Mavericks. It's really a nice thing to see. This is a good one. Stephen Kaufman, would you rather have Aaron Rodgers, David Johnson, Antonio Brown, Tom Brady, Le'Veon Bell, AJ Green, Big Ben, Zeke Elliott, Julio Jones? I think the first one would be close to impossible to stop. Aaron Rodgers, David Johnson, Antonio Brown. Ike with the Iverson jersey asks, Kendrick or Cole? I think probably Kendrick, but I did see J. Cole live once. In the Hilltop asks, can you do more fire sale franchise? I mean, I already do 2 a week or other stuff similar to that. Basically, in the comments of this video, throw suggestions at me. If I like them, I'll consider them. Andrew Watts says, do you think the Raiders are a legitimate Super Bowl contender this year? Coming from a diehard Raiders fan, so no pressure. Yeah, easily. I think if the defense has massively improved since early on, the offense, when it's right, is completely right. The Chiefs was a trip up, but it was a trip up in the division that's one of the hardest divisions to play in, and it was in one of the hardest stadiums to play in. I think they're very, very good. Mushroom4 says, have you considered doing NCAA 14 videos like Rebuilding Dynasty or something? I'd have to get a hold of the game, and getting a hold of those NCAA games in Europe is pretty hard. I wish they made new ones, and then I'd definitely consider it, but I'll see. Maybe that could be a thing I could do. Perhaps. I'm not against it. Freddy Krueger asks, if you play franchise mode with you controlling all 32 teams, and all teams finish with 0-0, 16 ties, how would the game react? And the easy answer is to that, I'm going to definitely do a video on that. That sounds great. D350 says, you are the owner of an NFL team that just won a Super Bowl, but your starting quarterback just retired. Your choices for starting quarterback are now Ryan Fitzpatrick, Colin Kaepernick, Robert Griffin, or yourself. Who do you choose? Actually, Ryan Fitzpatrick, because first year Ryan Fitzpatrick, you got Ryan Fitzpatrick for a year, he's pretty good. You give him a big contract and he melts into a pile of nothing. But Ryan Fitzpatrick, 1 year, I'll take him. Joke's on you. TJ Waffle is worried that he has to watch a Cowboys versus Patriots Super Bowl. I don't think you have to worry about that. The Sporty Gamer, now he has real good ones here. Should Harambe have been killed? Was the fumble recovery for Denver on the blocked extra point 2 conversion returning against New Orleans? Yeah, because he was out of bounds. Like, the pictures show it. Colts fan asks, will you ever shave your beard? This is an on and off thing in terms of trimming this down to like a millimeter. Yeah, I do that every now and then. This isn't a question, but it's a good suggestion, so I'll mention it here. Why not? I mean, I'm already doing like a 4-hour video. Steve Hall says, do a tournament of position teams. I like it. John Scott asks, how tall are you? I am 6'3". Dylan Knight asks, should the Patriots trade Jamie Collins? I mean, they're the second best scoring defense in the NFL. How bad could it have been? Apart from the value was terrible. Where will the Browns win the Super Bowl next? That would require them having ever won it, so never. However, when will they win it for the first time? Who knows? Galate Blade, what do you think about the Chargers when they're not injured? I think they're a very good team. A very good team. Isaiah Eads is trying to trick me into answering whether Tom Brady is a system quarterback by saying, would you rather have Bill Belichick coaching your team or Tom Brady being the quarterback on your team? And I'm not falling for it. The Real Bourbon? I don't know which one I say anymore. As a fellow UK American football fan, how did you get into American football? Also, have you ever played the game in reality then rather than virtually? That would be like close to offensive if the answer was no, but how did I get into it? I don't actually, I just always, I think, had an affinity for it, and finally at one point we eventually got like Sky Sports and I was able to start watching 1 or 2 games a week, and that's when I really got into it. And have I ever played the game in reality? Yes, I have played kiddie level, I was 16, 17, that's not kids, it's not any better either, but, and at university, that's it, I've done it. I've completed the questionnaire. I did not expect that many. I mean, I was going to wait longer so more questions could come in. You killed it. Holy mama, this this video file is 123 long. So, as in I've been recording for 1 hour and 23 minutes. So, if your question wasn't answered, it's because 1 hour and 23 minutes. That's why. I'll try and include as much as possible. I mean, this is the end of the video, so you know how much I included. What a stupid nonsense thing to say. But yeah, thank you so much for all of these questions. I didn't expect that many that quickly, and I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe we can do another one in a while.